Back to Psalm 71, verse number 10. Now remember he said in verse number 9, cast me not off in the time of old age. Why is he saying that? Well, this is why, verse number 10. Because mine enemies speak against me, and they that lay wait for my soul take counsel together, saying, God hath forsaken him. Persecute and take him, for there is none to deliver him. So what is he doing? He's listening to his enemies. The enemies have said, God hath forsaken him. The enemies have said, there is none to deliver him. So it's that point of weakness. He's heard that. He goes, is that true, Lord? Is that true? Cast me not off, Lord, in mine old age. In the time of my old age. So what do we notice? And I'm speaking to those that are a bit older. You might think, and I hope you've got a lot of experience. I hope you've learned a lot in life. Hope you've learned from your mistakes. I hope you know more of God's word than you did 20 years ago. You've grown up in the Lord. But what you notice here is if you listen to the wrong voices, you listen to the voices of the enemies, you can still be deceived. If you listen to the wrong people, if you listen to the wrong preachers, be careful in your old age. You say, oh, I can't change. I am who I am. And there's a truth to that. I notice as I get older, it's harder for me to change. Like when I was younger, in my 20s, I would read God's word. Boy, I need to change that about myself. I'm starting today. As I get older, now I'm 40, it's like, oh man, I don't know, that's a lot of work to make those changes in my life. You get stuck in your ways. I'm not saying we should change. You know, with God's help, we can become more godly as the time goes on and be more like Christ as the time goes on. I'm not saying it's an excuse to turn around and say, boy, I'm just stuck in my ways, Pastor, I can't change. Yes, you can. Of course you can change. That's why you got God's word. But you don't want to get so confident in yourself that you start listening to the wrong counsel, wrong preachers, okay? Because you can see even this experienced man has been affected by the words he's heard say from his enemies. Come with me quickly to Galatians 5. Galatians 5 verse 7. Galatians 5 verse 7. Now, Paul started the Galatian church and he's writing to the church. I'm glad we have these epistles. But of course, these epistles to these churches exist because Paul was unable to visit them. It took him time to go through in his missionary journeys and meet up with the people. He got saved and planted these churches. But he says in Galatians 5:7, ye did run well. He says to the Galatian church, you guys have been running the race well. Like when I left you, you were doing so well for the Lord. Then he says this, who did hinder you that ye should obey not the truth? Because you're doing so well. And now you're not obeying the truth? What's happened to you? He says in verse 8, this persuasion cometh not of him that calleth you. A little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. I have confidence in you through the Lord that ye will be none otherwise minded, but he that troubleth you shall bear his judgment, whosoever he be. Paul says you've been listening to the wrong people, whoever he is. He goes, God's going to judge them for leading you in a bad path, leading you in the wrong ways, causing you to not obey the truth. And if you know the context of this, it's because the Galatian church, well, was saved by grace through faith, of course. Someone had come along and said, oh no, you've also got to get circumcised or you're not saved. It's like, where did that come from? Who taught you that? The Galatian church ran well, but they listened to the wrong people. And now they're not even obeying the truth. Now they're confused about the gospel. So what I'm saying to you, elderly, be careful. Don't think, well, I don't have that many years left and I'll just take it easy. You still have to be vigilant about the churches you attend, the preaching that you listen to, the radio that you listen to, the media that you listen to, if they're turning your hearts away from the Lord, you must be aware, must be awake. We can still be deceived, even in our older age.